Emeka had never experienced the kind of humiliation he faced that morning at Riverside Holdings. They laughed at his torn shirt, mocked his worn shoes, and treated him like dust beneath their feet. But what no one knew was that the same poor boy they shamed held a secret that would soon shake the entire company. Stay with me, and subscribe as we dive into what really happened. In the busy heart of Lagos, where glass towers scrape the clouds and car horns never sleep, a young man named Emeka stood at a dusty roadside, clutching a brown envelope close to his chest. Inside that envelope lay all he owned, his certificates, his resume, and his last piece of hope. The morning sun was sharp. His shirt was faded. His trousers carried the mark of too many hand washes and not enough replacements. Yet, in his heart, there was fire, the kind that hunger cannot quench and mockery cannot silence. Emeka had graduated 3 years ago with top honors in accounting, but the streets of Lagos had taught him something the university never could, that brilliance without opportunity is like a candle burning in a sealed jar. He had walked miles to reach the company's gate, Riverside Holdings, one of the biggest investment firms in Lagos. Its tall mirrored building gleamed like pride itself, reflecting a world that often looked away from people like him. He paused at the entrance, looking at the uniformed security man. The guard glanced up and frowned. "Yes? Wetting you day find here?" Emeka cleared his throat. "Good morning, sir. I came for the interview. Accounting position." The guard's expression shifted into that familiar Lagos smirk, half amusement, half disbelief. "Interview? You sure say any heard him call you?" Emeka held out his letter. It was printed, creased at the edges, but genuine. The guard took it, looked at it, then at Emeka again. "Him. You be graduate, ABI? You no even get better cloth wear. Anyway, go inside. But no go touch anything for reception, oh." The guard's laugh trailed behind him like dust. Inside the building, cold air conditioning hit Emeka's skin, making him shiver slightly. The marble floor shone like it had never seen dirt. The receptionist, a young lady with perfectly braided hair and glossy nails, lifted her head slowly. She looked him up and down, his torn shoes, his worn-out belt, his envelope that had seen rain and sweat. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that cuts deep. "Good morning. You're here for the accounting interview?" Emeka nodded eagerly. "Yes, ma." "Name?" "Emeka Obi." Her fingers danced over the keyboard. Then she paused, eyes narrowing. "You were told to be here by 9 a.m. "Yes, ma. I left home early. The Danfo broke down on the bridge, I tried to." She raised a hand. "It's fine. Just have a seat." She gestured toward the far corner, a plastic chair near the dustbin. Every other candidate sat on the leather seats in front, dressed in suits that smelled of dry cleaning and confidence. Emeka quietly walked to his corner. He placed the brown envelope on his lap and looked around. Laughter, perfume, wristwatches that could pay his rent for a year. For a brief moment, he wanted to vanish. After what felt like hours, the door to the conference room opened. A man in a sharp navy suit stepped out. His name tag read Mr. Femi, HR Manager. "Next candidate, please." The receptionist pointed without looking up. "That one, the one sitting by the bin." Every head turned. A soft wave of laughter rippled through the waiting room. Emeka stood, forcing a smile. His palms were sweaty, his heart a drum. He entered the room. The conference room was cold, silent except for the ticking of a wall clock. 3 people sat at a long glass table, Mr. Femi, a stern-looking woman named Mrs. Johnson, and a younger man with glasses who typed without looking up. Emeka greeted politely. "Good morning, sirs and ma." "Sit down," Femi said flatly. As Emeka sat, the chair squeaked. He tried to tuck his torn sleeve under his arm, hoping they wouldn't notice. Mrs. Johnson adjusted her glasses. "Mr. Emeka Obi, you graduated from Unilag, first class in accounting." "Yes, ma." "And since then?" "I've been looking for opportunities, ma. I've done small jobs, kept records for small shops, volunteered too." The young man with glasses snorted quietly. Femi noticed but said nothing. Mrs. Johnson leaned back, eyes narrowing. Your appearance doesn't exactly inspire confidence, Mr. Obi. You know this is a corporate firm, yes? Emeka swallowed hard. Yes, ma. I understand. I did my best. You did your best? Femi cut in. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. Do you know how many people applied for this role? Over 400. And you thought coming here in torn shoes and a faded shirt would help your case? The room grew heavy. Emeka's throat tightened. Sir, No, tell me, Femi pressed. If you were interviewing someone who looked like you, would you hire him? The question stabbed deeper than laughter could. Emeka's lips trembled. He looked down at the envelope on his lap, the edges now damp from his palms. Maybe not, sir, he whispered. The younger man chuckled. At least he's honest, he muttered. The laughter filled the room. Femi flipped through his papers. You wrote here that you've been keeping books for small shops. Any proof? Emeka nodded quickly and opened his envelope. But as he pulled out his documents, they slipped, fluttering like broken wings to the floor. Receipts. Letters. Certificates. The room fell silent for half a second, then came the laughter. Ah! This one came to scatter our office. Pick your papers, Mr. Obi. Quickly now. The tone wasn't concern, it was mockery dressed in professionalism. Emeka bent down, gathering the papers with shaky hands. The floor was cold. His vision blurred. His fingers trembled so badly that one certificate tore slightly at the edge. Behind him, he could hear whispers, muffled laughter, phones unlocking. Someone was recording. Just look at him, a voice murmured. Is this how people come for interviews these days? He stood again, forcing his papers back into the envelope. His voice cracked slightly. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Femi didn't look up. We'll get back to you, Mr. Obi. That sentence, we'll get back to you, was the Nigerian way of saying it's over. Outside, as Emeka walked back through the reception, he could feel the eyes on him. The receptionist whispered something to her colleague. They both laughed quietly. One of the candidates, a tall man in a blue suit, smirked. Guy, you for no come at all. Dim no day interview like this again. Emeka smiled weakly. He wanted to reply, but silence was safer. As he stepped outside, the afternoon heat met him again, thick, unforgiving. He stood by the gate for a long moment, looking at the giant Riverside Holdings logo above the building. He whispered softly to himself. One day, I'll come back here. But not like this. The guard from earlier chuckled. Young man, NA so everybody day talk. Just try get better cloth next time. Emeka smiled again, not from amusement, but from the sharp ache of being seen as less than human. He turned and began walking home. Each step on the dusty road echoed with thoughts, of his late father who had believed education would change their lives, of his mother who still called every morning to say, "Don't give up, my son." But today, even her voice in his memory couldn't wash off the sting of humiliation. As the Danfo rattled down the bridge, Emeka looked at his reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, dusty shirt, face streaked with sweat. He thought of how easily people judge worth by fabric and shoes. He whispered again. Maybe poverty really has no voice in this city. The bus passed by the tall buildings, each one a monument to power. He promised himself quietly that he would never forget this feeling, this fire of shame, this hunger to prove that a man's worth is not measured by the shine of his shoes. That night, in his small one-room apartment in Age, Emeka laid his envelope on the table. He opened his old laptop, the one that took 10 minutes to power on, and began typing. A plan was forming, faint but fierce. He didn't know how or when, but deep inside, he made a vow. The next time they see me, they won't recognize me by my clothes, they'll recognize me by my name. Soft drum heartbeat fades in. The narrator's tone slows. Because sometimes, life buries you not to end you, but to plant you. And that day, as Emeka picked up those scattered papers, what the world saw as humiliation, heaven saw as preparation. That night, after the humiliation, Lagos felt louder than ever. The honking of cars, the chatter of people, everything sounded like laughter aimed at him. Emeka walked along the roadside, his brown envelope clutched tightly to his chest as if it could still protect his dreams. Every step he took echoed one truth: the world was not built for the poor. He reached his street in age, a narrow lane filled with kiosks, shouting traders, and the smell of roasted corn mixing with diesel fumes. Children ran barefoot through puddles. Generators hummed like angry bees. As he approached his small apartment, one room with a leaking roof and a wooden door that creaked like an old man's knees, he saw his mother, Mama Obi, sitting on a stool outside, peeling oranges under the dull yellow light bulb. When she saw him, her face brightened instantly. "My son! How was the interview?" Emeka tried to smile, but the weight of shame hung heavy on his shoulders. "It went fine, Mama." She looked at him closely. A mother always knows when her child is lying. Her eyes softened. "They didn't choose you." He looked down. "Not yet," he said quietly. Mema Obi reached for his hand. Her palms were rough, hardened from years of labor. "Emeka, listen to me," she said gently. "Rejection is not failure. It's just delay. Your father used to say, when a door closes, sometimes it's because God wants to build you a new house." Her words hit deep. Tears burned behind his eyes, but he swallowed them back. He nodded. "Yes, Mama. I'll keep trying." She smiled. "That's my son." That night, Emeka couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain leak through the roof, each drop falling in rhythm with his thoughts. His mind replayed every laugh, every sneer, every cruel word from that interview. The way they looked at his torn shirt as if it disqualified his intelligence. The way his papers scattered on the floor like his dignity. He sat up and whispered to the darkness. "One day, they will remember this face." But promises don't pay rent. And hunger doesn't wait for destiny. The next morning, Emeka's landlord banged on his door. "Mr. Graduate. Any today you go pay my money or you go commit for my house." Emeka rushed to open. "Please, sir. Give me one more week. I just had an interview yesterday." The landlord scoffed. "Interview we no go give you job? You think say certificate go cook soup? Pay me or pack." The door slammed. Emeka sat on the bed, hands in his hair. He had only 750 Nigerian nairas left, barely enough for food, let alone rent. He stared at his phone, cracked, old, but still his only bridge to the world. He opened a job app and started scrolling. Every posting had one thing in common: experience required. How can a man gain experience when no one gives him a chance? For the next 2 weeks, Emeka walked the streets of Lagos with that same brown envelope. He went to companies in Victoria Island, Ikeja, Yaba, anywhere that had an office door and a hope of employment. Some guards chased him away. Some receptionists never looked up. Others laughed politely before dropping his CV into the bin right in front of him. By the 10th rejection, something inside him began to break. One afternoon, he sat at a roadside stall, eating plain rice without stew, when he overheard two men talking. "You hear say Riverside Holdings Day expand to Abuja?" one said. "Yes, oh, and say dim day recruit again next month." Riverside Holdings. The name still stung like fresh pepper on a wound. He lowered his spoon and listened quietly. "DMHR people for Lagos no get human feeling sure," the second man said. "My cousin go interview there last month. Him laugh like say he be madman." Emeka looked away quickly. Even strangers were talking about it now. He left his food half-eaten and walked home. That night, for the first time, he didn't light his candle. He sat in darkness, whispering a quiet question to God. "Did you forget me?" Days passed. Then weeks. And one Friday morning, as he was helping a neighbor repair a broken generator for small pay, his phone buzzed. It was a message. "Riverside Holdings requires your presence at our Ikoyi branch for an urgent follow-up. Kindly report Monday 8 a.m. He read it 3 times, heart pounding. Riverside? Again? Was this a cruel joke? Or could it be something more? He rushed to the cybercafe nearby, logged in to check his email. The same message was there. Official, with the company logo. He almost fell to his knees. He ran to his mother's stall, panting, smiling for the first time in weeks. "Mema, They called me again. She dropped her knife, eyes wide. Who? The same company. The one that embarrassed me. Her hand flew to her chest. This god is too much. But her eyes searched his face. Are you sure it's not another trick? He shook his head. It came from their official address, Mema. Maybe someone there saw something in me. She smiled softly, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Then go, my son. But this time, hold your head high. You are the son of Namdi Obi, never forget that. Monday came. Emeka wore his cleanest clothes again, the same faded shirt, the same mended sleeve. But this time, he ironed it so sharply it looked like confidence itself. He left before dawn, walking to the main road where Danfos fought for passengers. The city was waking, hawkers shouting, engines roaring, the smell of bread and dust filling the air. When he reached Ikoyi, he stood outside the new Riverside branch. It was bigger, grander, shining like pride itself. He could see his reflection in the glass door. He adjusted his shirt, took a deep breath, and whispered, God, if this is another test, give me strength to endure. He stepped inside. The receptionist this time was different, older, calmer. She looked up as he approached. Good morning. Can I help you? Good morning, Ma. I'm here for the follow-up interview. Emeka Obi. She typed something into her computer, paused, and frowned slightly, not out of disdain, but surprise. Oh, please have a seat. Someone will attend to you shortly. Her tone was kind. That alone felt strange. Emeka sat quietly, clutching his envelope once again. He noticed how people walked past him, some busy, some polite, some not looking at him at all. But today, he wasn't angry. He was just waiting. 15 minutes passed. Then 30. Then an hour. He began to wonder if this was all a mistake again. Just as doubt began to creep in, a door opened at the far end of the hall. A tall, elderly man in a grey suit stepped out, followed by 2 assistants. The entire reception stood respectfully as he passed. The man's voice was calm, deep, and steady, the kind that comes from power. He looked around slowly, then his eyes landed on Emeka. Young man, he said. Are you Mr. Obi? Emeka stood quickly. Yes, sir. Come with me. The receptionist's eyes widened in surprise as the old man gestured for Emeka to follow. As they walked through the glass hallway, whispers spread behind them. Who was that poor-looking man walking beside the chairman himself? Emeka's heart raced. He didn't understand. The old man led him into an elevator. The silence inside was heavy. Emeka could hear the soft hum of machinery, the ticking of his own heartbeat. He tried to speak. Sir, I. Don't speak yet, the man said quietly. Let's talk upstairs. When the doors opened, they stepped into a wide office, glass walls, golden frames, a wide view of the lagoon stretching to the horizon. The man gestured for him to sit. Mr. Obi, he began slowly, I watched the video. Emeka blinked. Video? Yes. The one from your last interview. Someone recorded you while you were picking your papers from the floor. The room fell silent. Emeka's stomach dropped. Oh God, he whispered under his breath. It went viral, the man continued. People mocked you online. But I watched closely. You didn't shout. You didn't curse. You picked up your papers, stood up, and still said thank you. That caught my attention. He leaned forward. Tell me, Mr. Obi, where did you learn such patience? Emeka's voice trembled. From hunger, sir. And from my mother. The man smiled faintly. Then your mother raised a lion. He leaned back in his chair. You have no idea how much this meeting will change your life, young man. Emeka frowned. Sir. The man only smiled again. You'll understand soon enough. He pressed a button on his desk phone. Tell Mr. Femi from the HR department to come up immediately. The voice on the other end responded. Yes, sir. Emeka froze. Mr. Femi, the same man who had humiliated him? His chest tightened. He wanted to leave, to run before the past repeated itself. But something about the old man's calmness made him stay. Moments later, The door opened. Mr. Femi walked in, confident as ever, until his eyes met Emeka's. He stopped mid-step, confusion flickering across his face. "Sir, I." "Sit," the old man said calmly. "We have a few things to discuss." Dramatic silence, narrator lowers tone. And that was how destiny began to unfold. The same room where Emeka had once been laughed at. The same man who had mocked his torn shirt. Now stood before him, about to learn who Emeka truly was. The rain outside began to pour again, striking the glass like the sound of justice preparing its entrance. The office was silent. The air between them, thick with memory, pride, and something heavier, justice. Emeka stood by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass like falling truth. Behind him, Mr. Femi shifted in his seat, restless. Across the table, the elderly man, the chairman, folded his hands calmly and spoke. "Mr. Femi," he said, his voice calm but cold, "do you recognize this young man?" Femi cleared his throat, forcing a nervous smile. "Why yes, sir. He came for the accounting interview at our Lagos branch some weeks ago." "And how did that go?" "He wasn't properly dressed for the occasion, sir. We felt he wasn't a good fit." The chairman nodded slowly, then leaned back in his chair. "Not a good fit." He let the words hang in the air for a moment. Then, turning his eyes to Emeka, he asked gently, "And how did you feel that day, son?" Emeka hesitated. "Ashamed, sir. Angry. But mostly invisible." Something about the word invisible echoed through the room like thunder without sound. The chairman leaned forward. "You see, Mr. Femi," he began softly, "this young man you laughed at is the son of one of the greatest men I ever knew." Femi blinked. "Sir." The chairman stood up slowly, walking toward the window. Outside, the grey clouds parted slightly, letting in a soft golden light. He looked down at the street below, the same Lagos that had built empires and crushed dreams in the same breath. "Years ago," he continued, "before Riverside became what it is today, there was a man named Nnamdi Obi. He was an accountant, loyal, humble, brilliant. When this company was drowning, every other employee abandoned ship. But he stayed. For months, he worked without pay, keeping our books clean, believing the storm would pass. He turned back to face them. And it did. Because of him." Femi's eyes darted between the chairman and Emeka. "Wait. Obi? As in, this young man?" "Yes," the chairman said quietly. "This is Emeka Obi, the son of that man." The room went still. Emeka lowered his gaze. His throat tightened as the chairman continued. "When his father died, I searched for his family. But they had moved away. Life carried me forward, and I forgot. But I never forgot what that man taught me, that character is worth more than any certificate or suit." He paused, voice trembling slightly. "And now, years later, I see his reflection standing before me, humiliated by the same company his father once saved." Mr. Femi began to stammer. Sir, I didn't know." "If I had known." The chairman raised a hand. "If you had known, would you have treated him better? Or does a man's worth depend on his bloodline?" Silence again. "Sir, I was just doing my job." "No," the chairman said firmly. "You were doing your ego." He walked slowly back to his desk and picked up a file. "Mr. Femi, I built this company to be a house of excellence, not a throne for arrogance. You've failed to see humanity beyond appearances. As of this moment." He signed a document, his pen scratching softly against the paper. "You are dismissed from this company." Femi's mouth dropped open. "Sir, please. Don't do this to me." "Leave," the chairman said softly. "And remember what you did today. One day, you might stand before someone else who looks beneath you. And maybe then, you'll understand." When the door closed behind him, the office grew still again. The rain had stopped. Only the soft ticking of the clock filled the silence. The chairman turned back to Emeka. His voice softened. "Your father would be proud of you, my son. I watched that interview video. The world laughed, but I saw grace. You didn't curse them. You didn't fight. You held your dignity, And that is what true leadership looks like. He opened a drawer and pulled out a sealed brown envelope, old, worn, and neatly labeled to the family of Namdi Obi. This was meant for your family years ago. I never found you, but I kept it all this time. Emeka took it with trembling hands. Sir, I don't even know what to say. Say nothing yet, the old man smiled gently. Just promise me you'll carry your father's values with you. Tears welled in Emeka's eyes. He nodded slowly. I promise, sir. A week later, Emeka returned to the same Riverside Holdings building, but this time, not as an applicant. The receptionist who once made him sit near the dustbin nearly dropped her pen when she saw him walk in wearing a clean navy blue suit. The same guard at the gate saluted him nervously. Good morning, sir. Emeka smiled faintly. Good morning. Inside the main office, whispers spread like wildfire. Is that not the same guy from the viral video? They say he's the chairman's new executive assistant. Later that afternoon, during the staff meeting, the chairman introduced him formally. Everyone, meet Mr. Emeka Obi, our new executive trainee under my mentorship. The room erupted in applause. But Emeka didn't smile arrogantly. He simply nodded respectfully. Among the crowd, Mrs. Johnson, the stern woman from his first interview, stood frozen. After the meeting, she quietly approached him. Mr. Obi, I wanted to apologize. I was part of that interview panel. I'm sorry for how we treated you. Emeka looked at her calmly. It's all right, Ma. I understand. The world teaches us to value packaging over purpose. Her eyes glistened. You're a good man. No, he said softly, I just learned the hard way that pain is a teacher too. Weeks passed. Under the chairman's guidance, Emeka learned fast: accounting, management, leadership. He worked quietly, never boasting, never reminding anyone of the past. But the staff whispered. Some feared him. Some admired him. And some began to respect him. One evening, the chairman invited him to his mansion in Ikoyi. The old man looked weaker than before. His voice softer. Emeka, he said, you have something this generation has lost: humility. Promise me, when you have power, you'll use it to lift others, not to crush them. Emeka nodded, eyes misty. I promise, sir. The chairman smiled faintly. Good. Because soon, this company will need that promise. 2 months later, Lagos woke up to shocking news. Chief Adetola, founder and chairman of Riverside Holdings, is dead. The company fell into mourning. Flags were lowered. Staff wept. At the funeral, Emeka stood quietly beside the coffin, holding the old man's final letter, the one marked open after I'm gone. That night, under the glow of a small lamp, he opened it. My dear Emeka, it began. If you're reading this, then I am gone. Do not cry. I lived long enough to see your father's seed grow into greatness. In my absence, you will lead Riverside Holdings. The board will question it, but I have made it official in my will. Remember, this is not inheritance. It's restoration. Your father built this company with integrity. Now, you will protect it with the same. Tears rolled down his face as he whispered, Thank you, sir. Days later, during the board meeting, the will was read aloud. Gasps filled the room as the lawyer declared. By the late chairman's directive, Mr. Emeka Obi is hereby appointed as acting chief executive officer of Riverside Holdings. The same people who once mocked him now stood, bowing slightly in respect. Mrs. Johnson whispered to a colleague, Do you see what grace can do? And the guard at the gate, the one who once said, get better cloth wear, now saluted every morning, head lowered. Emeka didn't boast. He didn't fire anyone out of revenge. He simply rebuilt the culture of the company, making it a place where everyone, rich or poor, could be treated with dignity. He hired graduates from humble homes, gave scholarships to students like him, and built an employment center in memory of his father, calling it the Obi Foundation for Humble Beginnings. Every year, he told his story to new employees. Never look down on anyone. The man you mock today might be the one signing your paycheck tomorrow. Because true power isn't in wealth or title. It's in how you treat those who can't fight back. Emeka learned that pain doesn't always come to break you, sometimes, it comes to build your throne. He stood one evening at his office window, watching the Lagos sunset, golden, endless, beautiful. And he whispered to himself, "Papa, I kept the promise." Moral lesson: never judge a person by how they look. Sometimes, the poorest man in the room carries the richest spirit, and time will always reveal it.